Hello, parents and students of the class of 2022. My name is Nancy Spilsbury. I'm one of the counselors here at BASHA, and I am going to be presenting on everything that you need to know for your senior year, things that you might be curious about, things that you need to know how to go about doing it, and providing a timeline of that information. So we'll start with spring of this year, and then we'll talk about things to do in the summer, next fall, and then of course next spring, which takes us right up to graduation. This is normally done in person, so it's a lot more interactive and I'm able to answer your questions. So I'm hoping that we can get through this, and I'll answer a lot of them even though we're not face to face. So the most immediate thing happening right now is that we're doing registration for the next year, so 2021-22 year. Current students are going to request courses for next year through their Infinite Campus portal. They can probably already see the options for registration. So it's also available, this PowerPoint will be available online, but you can also look at the website under registration on the home page of BASHA's website, and also under our webpage under Departments Counseling Overview. And then on the left-hand side, there are different tabs for the grade level. So for upcoming seniors, you would be looking under the junior tab. If you have any other students here, you're going to see the tabs for those grade levels as well. If I have any out of district students, you will then also, you don't have access to Infinite Campus, but you'll turn in your schedule request form to the front office, and once open enrollment's approved, then we just build schedules for those students and certainly can talk to the families during that process. It's important to keep in mind that the requests that are happening, this is how we build our master schedule. So all the requests that go into Infinite Campus are merely that. It's a request for certain courses. Doesn't guarantee that that's what's going to be on the schedule next year. And that's for a lot of reasons. It could be that the course didn't make, meaning there were not enough students that signed up for the class. It could be that it conflicts with another class on their schedule. Maybe they're the only singleton classes and they're both offered the same hour. It could be that just by luck of the draw, that they did not get into a particular classroom because maybe there's just limited enrollment. So please understand that these are the requests, and then of course, we want them to get what they request, but sometimes there are things that keep us from doing that. So in addition to registering, they're going to get the information about how to go in and step-by-step instructions on following the Infinite Campus registration tab. But then we will also be meeting with these students with a credit check. If we're in person, it will be in person. If not, then we will be either Google Meeting or talking with them on the phone on the week of the 28th and 29th, and then it'll extend into February on the 3rd and the 4th. And this will be done through their American history classes. So make sure you're choosing your courses carefully. If you're already taking AP and honors classes, it's important to continue with these sequences. Languages included. If you're planning on going out of state, keep in mind that they like to see in-depth study of things. So 3 to 4 years of a language, depending on the school that you're attending. Take advantage of dual credit courses. A lot of you are doing that already, but continue to look at that and see if it would be worth it for you to continue doing those, so that you are eliminating some classes that you potentially could not have to take in college. So I know it seems like a lot, and I know it's exciting coming into the senior year, but we really want them focused on maintaining good grades and staying focused. So no senioritis at this point. Graduation requirements, we cover this with your students every year. Probably a good review for a lot of parents as well. On the left-hand side, you have the curriculum areas. This is for any student graduating from a Chandler Unified School District high school. Those are the areas of curriculum on the left. In the middle here are the graduation requirements specifically. And then on the right-hand side are Arizona University entrance requirements. The nice thing is Chandler's pretty much aligned with what our in-state university entrance requirements are. So you'll notice that there's 4 credits of English on both. There's 4 credits of math that are required. There's 3 science credits that are required, and all of the science classes at Basha are lab sciences. They like it to be a variety, so it can be 3 separate categories, or it could be that you take say a biology, and then you do a chemistry, and then you do an advanced level of one of those. So AP Chem or AP Bio, and that too would be acceptable. The social studies, there's 3 required social studies classes. We require 3. The first one's world history, then American Arizona history is what they should be taking this year. Their senior year, they have 2 semester classes. One is the government class, and then the other one is the economics. For the university, they only require 2 of them, so they've met that just because of our requirement. But American Arizona history is definitely one of the ones that they're going to count in their 16 core. Career and technical education and or fine art, for us and for the universities in Arizona, it's the same. It can be one or the other. So career technical education classes are those that are like skill-based. Could be digital photo, multimedia, could be our nursing program, engineering program, cyber programs. It could be any of the ag classes or business classes, cooking classes, those types of things. The fine arts are going to be performing and visual arts. Examples of that would be band, orchestra, drama. Dance is also considered a fine art. Beginning photo, advanced photo, drawing, sculpture, those are all examples of a fine art. So again, it can be one or the other, doesn't matter in state Arizona. If they're planning to attend out-of-state schools, we recommend that they make sure that they get a fine art credit in there as well, because some schools still require a fine art, not a career technical education. So foreign language, you'll see that under the high school, there is no requirement for our graduation. It is actually the requirement, entrance requirement for the university. So it's 2 credits of the same language. And really what that means is the second year. So if a student has Spanish 2, for instance, as a freshman in high school, they've met the entrance requirements for the universities merely by being in that second year of the language, or else they're going to do 2 years of the same language physically here. Physical education is our requirement. They need 1 PE credit, and that can be from a class like athletic locker or PE or weight training. It could be 3 semesters of ROTC, 3 semesters of marching band or color guard. It just needs to be a class. Dance is also a way to meet a PE requirement. The university does not have a requirement for PE. Then we have a health credit. It's just a half credit. Most of the students have already completed this. If not, they will be doing it with us next year, or maybe doing it in summer school or online. There's different ways to meet that credit. So for us, the electives that come up next are the 5.5 elective credits, and that's anything in addition to what I've already gone over. So anything extra up here is going to be an elective credit once the one area has been met. So if they do an additional science credit or they do an additional math credit, maybe they're doubling up their senior year, anything extra is going to go to elective. Foreign language would be elective. Extra CTE or PE classes will all fall into that category. For the university, they're going to be looking at 16 credits. This is what they're going to be looking at, and they call them the core competencies. So they're going to take these 16 classes, and this is what they're going to use to decide admission, and they're going to unweight the grade point average and then recalculate that so that that is used for admission. So automatic admission at our in-state universities would be a 3.0 in these 16 classes, or the 16 classes and a 22 on the ACT, 1120 on the SAT. So those are our requirements for graduation and for Arizona University entrance requirements. Key terms that we're going to be talking about now: advanced placement and dual credit. Our AP program here is recognized throughout the nation, and this is where students are taking one of our AP classes and they're preparing for a single test that they take in May. All the tests are taken during that month. And it's based on a scale of 1 to 5. Scores of 3s, 4s, and 5s may award your students credit at the college level. That depends on where they're going and their policy in terms of the credit that they're going to award based on the score for those classes. But there are many students that leave BASHA with a number of college credits, either through AP classes alone and taking those exams, and or including dual enrollment classes. So the AP is one test. It's taken in May. It's about $95 per test. And there's a link online to register for those tests beginning right at the beginning of the year. So next year you can register for those tests almost immediately. For dual credit, this is an agreement through our community college system. And this guarantees transfer into our in-state universities as long as they get a C or better in the class. And you pay it at the community college rate. Right below here I have, if you have questions about what classes might be offered for dual enrollment, you can look at our course description book, which you'll see on the CUSD website. You can also go to Chandler Gilbert's website, and I have the link right here, and I'll have it on the next page too, that takes you directly to the high schools, and then you'd click on BASHA, and it'll show you all the classes that are offered for dual enrollment. So why take dual enrollment? The nice thing is that it's taught by our teachers who are certified for the state of Arizona. The credits are transferable to our universities and many out-of-state universities, but again, that would be something that we would have to look at individually, or you can do that. So the cost of the dual enrollment is going to be reasonable, far less than taking a class at the university straight away. Approximately $85 a credit hour. I know they're working this year to have a flat rate for students that are entering the college right now. But many of these are taught by teachers that they have access to every day, which is also a considerable advantage in comparison to taking it either online or at the college itself. So nice for these students to be able to leave high school again with college credit. So this is again how you find out if it is offered dual enrollment. I've got the website there for Chandler Gilbert, which is predominantly where we partner with for our dual enrollment classes. And again, you can look it up. It'll show you BASH. It'll list all the classes. For instance, it might say AP Biology, Bio 101, Mr. Davitt's second hour or fourth hour. And then you can also go over and check what prerequisites are required before you can take this class for dual enrollment. Also included the course equivalency guide here, which is called AZ Transfer. And in this link, it'll show you how credits will transfer from the community college to ASU, NAU, U of A. And remember that's having you look, because when you have a program of study at ASU or maybe at U of A, you're going to see some differences in how they actually transfer the credit. So it's nice to look at this to see how it would actually immerse into their program of study at that particular institution. The AP program, also a way to earn college credit. These are a list of the classes that we offer or programs that we offer for AP at BASHA. And as I mentioned before, this is based on a singular exam that the students are going to take in May after taking the class here throughout the year. And then based on the score that they get for that one exam, that will dictate college credit depending on where they're going, and then again what their program of study is and how that translates at that particular institution. So now we're at spring testing schedule. So this spring, we're talking right now, students will be looking at what exams they need to be taking. And this year, of course, is a little bit different because of COVID, and many colleges and institutions are saying that they're going to be test blind when it comes to admissions, and that's for this incoming class this fall. For your students in the fall of 2022, I would imagine that it's going to return to normal, but possibly that they may continue with their excusing of that. However, it's important that they, if they can, that they still take these exams because they will be used for more information about your son or daughter. So they can use this for scholarship, they could use it for placement still, and if they don't have it, then they're just going to be relying on the classes and the rigor of the classes, and maybe some extraneous other things for admission. So AP exams, as I mentioned, are going to be taken in May, if they're taking any this year. In terms of college entrance exams, there are two. There's the SAT and then there's the ACT. The SAT also has a subject test, which is required only by some colleges. No colleges in Arizona require them. So if they're looking out of state, you would want to look that up and see if they require a subject test, which is really just an opportunity for students to demonstrate ability in a particular subject area, such as chemistry or maybe a math class. Those are separate tests. They are taken on a Saturday, and you can see the dates that I've put down there where subject tests are offered, and they can take a few of them in one day. The regular SAT is also something that you register for, and that's what our schools in Arizona take, as well as the ACT. Both of them have a writing component that's additional. So you can see the last dates for this school year coming up on there. There are registration deadlines that you would need to make sure you're meeting in order to get registered for these remaining tests. Also, you're going to check the websites up until the day before the test in case they cancel that testing date due to COVID, as it has been all year. So, but I do know that some schools are testing, and you just got to make sure that you're keeping current as to whether that situation is remaining open to the test for that day. And I gave you the websites there to sign up for the ACT, and then College Board is SAT. When you register for these exams, you'll be given the option to provide your scores directly to potential colleges that you're considering, as well as NCAA, and some scholarships will ask for them as well. So there are codes that are provided, and you can go ahead and request up to 4 for free, and they send them automatically. You don't have to separately request those scores. Any additional ones you would just pay for. FAFSA will actually be providing a free ACT test in April. I don't have the exact date, but this is something that the district provides for all of our juniors. And the registration piece of it will be done within their English classes or through BASHA. You as parents or students are not going to be going to ACT's website to register for this particular exam. This is a state test date. In April, all of our juniors will be taking it. It does count as a national test date, and you can send these scores also to colleges, NCAA, etc. It does not include the writing portion. So if any of the colleges that they are considering are requiring the writing portion, then you can still take this one and get a score for the ACT without the writing, and then retake an additional test that you would then register for that and include the writing portion. So nice thing is they still allow section retesting, super scoring, which means they're going to allow the best scores over several test sittings. And then they also have some online testing. This year's a little bit different, but you can read that information on their website as well. Test prep. It's important. These are big tests. They're important. They can mean money for your son or daughter. It can mean an increase in money too. So I encourage students to look at, and I'll show you in a minute, the college site estimators. Sometimes students will score well, but if they retake it and they scored even just a few points more, it can mean the difference between thousands of dollars. So it's really important that they try their best on these and retake if necessary. So we do have some test prep opportunities that come up, and we post them to our website when we know them or have them. Also follow Ms. Fassinger's Google Classroom, and I included the entry code right there, and that's an L, lowercase l, RB5UA5. She has a lot of information on her stream for not just test prep, but colleges, FAFSA, uh, anything that comes along, she will post it in there and organizes it really nicely for you to be able to see. So an additional test prep, I always recommend doing what's free first. So ACT has wonderful online prep. Kaplan includes some things. SAT also has nice test prep that's free. You can do daily questions. You can download practice test. They will even break down the separate sections so that you can practice the section that you think you need the most help with. So please look at those things that are free, and there's a variety of them to take advantage of. And I've included the websites again down there at the bottom for you. Athletes, if we have anybody that is looking to participate at the collegial level, there are certain eligibility things that need to be done. For D1, D2, you've got the NCAA Eligibility Center. For NAIA, you do have an eligibility center. For the ones below that, the NJCAA and the D3 schools do not require registration. But here's the eligibility website for you and gives you some information about what else you need to send. So if you've got the test scores, they need that, and there's the code to send those. Your transcripts will need to be sent to the clearinghouse at the end of your junior year. So at the end of this year, if you're thinking along these lines, you should make sure that they have a transcript for their eligibility center. There is a fee, but there are fee waivers available. And then here's the NAIA clearinghouse information for you as well. So the next thing that we'll be talking about is it's not too early. A lot of you have already been thinking about, when do I start my college search? What do I do? How do I go about doing it? And I want you to start with thinking about what you like to do. What are your abilities? Are you looking to go athletically? Are you looking for engineering? Or do you like math, science? You're going to be thinking about the things that you like and what you have a preference for. Also need to be looking at what geographic region you like. Location is really important. I'm a big believer in feeling a fit for a particular campus, whether it's community college, whether it's a university, in-state or out-of-state. If you have the luxury of being able to even visit some of those schools, there's a lot to be said about walking on a campus and actually visualizing yourself being a good fit for that school. And of course, you need to think about the cost of attending and how difficult it is to be admitted to those particular schools. So once you start thinking about those, you are also going to consider what your plan of study is going to be. So majors and careers, and a lot of the colleges have really fantastic websites that you can do virtual tours. You can see what programs of study they offer. I encourage students also to, especially when we're back in person and things return a little bit to normal, to visit the Career Center when Ms. Fassenker brings in the different reps from the different colleges. Even if they think it's not a school that they might be going to, it is good information to sit down and listen to them about programs of study, about the application process, about scholarship process, so that they can get as much information as they can from everybody and then apply it to where they most need it. So in researching colleges, of course, your safe, target, reach, those are the things that I like to think of for students. Your safe schools would be those that you can be admitted to. Maybe ASU is that, or NAU, or maybe the community college. Your target schools would be things that you're going to be targeting other schools that can fit in that area. And then your reach schools are the ones that are going to be, this is really a great idea. It would be a dream school of mine. They've got a fabulous program. Maybe their admission rate is a little bit harder to obtain. But your reach schools are things that you still are going to consider and obviously apply for. I mean, it's not going to hurt you to apply for any of those. So you've got your safe schools, your target schools, and your reach schools. Don't forget about our community college system. A lot of fabulous programs there. They have degree pathways that lead right into our universities. And they also have certificate programs that maybe are not necessarily obtaining a degree, but partner with outside industry where it's a program where you are ready to be employed upon completing their certificate programs. A lot of those are things that you would never find at the university too. So it's a great pathway for many, many of our students. Technical schools are going to be specific to a particular area, whether it be art, whether it be mechanics. And these are, a lot of them are private schools, can be a little more expensive, but less duration and time. Apprenticeships is another opportunity. I've got a website at the end that you can actually look up the opportunities available for apprenticeships. And then, of course, military academies are those that are interested in this. That process is beginning now. Start thinking also about financial aid. So schools are going to be, they're going to review whether or not they're awarding scholarship upon admission. So when you apply, they're going to automatically consider you for those things, but you will also apply for financial aid. Really important to keep your grades up. And then also look at summer opportunities, whether it involves working, whether it's an internship. Internships can be a pathway for so many students to have some great opportunities moving forward. Maybe summer school, if it's needed, even if it's just something that you want to do to get ahead. But make sure through all of this that you're building a better you, keeping your grades up and making your profile as solid as it can be. I mentioned the military academies. This just kind of gives you the timeline. Right now, you can be requesting information and follow what once you do that, then they're going to send you information about the timeline for their specific academies. It's nice also, if you can, to apply for their summer leadership experiences, which are very selective still, but it would be early on. You want to make sure that you're applying for that if they are interested, and see if you can have that opportunity to attend. It's a nice way for students to see what cadet life is like and if it's something that they see themselves doing. Scholarships. So when we talk about the cost of college, scholarships are something that everybody is happy to accept. And there are two main kinds. I'll break it down into merit and non-merit based scholarships. There are several places that you can look for scholarships, and I'll go over some of those. But let's talk about what the differences are between those two types. The merit-based scholarships, I would account to numbers. It's going to be based on your grade point average, your test scores. It could be based on classes that you're taking, but really like the numbers. These are scholarships that colleges are going to automatically consider you for once you've applied and have been admitted to that particular institution. So say, for instance, you apply to ASU, your application's complete, they admit you, and at that time they're already considering you for any merit-based money that they can provide for you. You don't apply for that. Same goes for U of A, NAU, Grand Canyon. They all have their own system for awarding merit-based scholarships. And this is also where I had mentioned before, where your test scores, when they use them, if they use them, could actually benefit you in increasing the amount of money that they might award you just by doing better on the exam. Your non-merit-based scholarships are going to be those that you are actually seeking and applying for yourself. And there are lots of ways to do that, and there's a lot of different kinds of scholarships. There are ones that are based on financial need. There are ones that are based on first-generation college students, which is really important to know if you fall in that category, because there are quite a few scholarships for those students. It could be a duct tape scholarship where you're designing a prom dress out of duct tape and you win a certain amount of money. It could be the Dairymen's Association scholarship where they do a blurb on milk, and they do the little milk mustache creativity photo, and those are drawings worth thousands of dollars. So it's important to be looking for the scholarships and weekly looking so that you get used to seeing what comes across the screen and knowing if you've met the criteria to actually apply for those scholarships. I tell students as you're looking to make a note. So say it's the Otto and Edna Neely Scholarship, and I know that I'm going to have that criteria when I'm a senior. I also know that it comes out in January or February. I'm going to make a note and just keep it with me that says make sure I look for the application for this scholarship at that time next year so I don't miss out. There are several ways on our website to see the different scholarship listings, and one of them in particular is with Ms. Fassinger in the Career Center. She does have it on our website. She is really using her Google Classroom more than anything this year, which I gave you the code for in the earlier slide. She will provide, there's a list of websites when you first look at it, which is going to be your national search engines like FastWeb or scholarships.com. There'll be financial aids websites in there too. But then there's another one called Scholarship Listings, which is going to be things that come through BASHA. And maybe it's particular for just one BASHA student, or it's the Chandler Education Foundation scholarships. But those are ones that when you'll see, it'll give you the name of the scholarship. It'll tell you what the criteria for applying for that scholarship is, follow the deadlines, and then go through the process and make sure you get it in by the time that it's due. Another way to look for scholarships is through college websites. Once you've been admitted to colleges, they all have their own portal for financial aid and scholarships, so I'd encourage you to look at those. And then, of course, moms and dads, you may have scholarships through your own employer that are things that your students could apply for. So be looking for that or ask about that. It's important that students are keeping track of their activities and updating a resume. If they don't have one, it'd be time to create one. We've done some of that with them through AZCIS, which is a career website, or a lot of their teachers are working with them too. But at least update it, keep it ready to go, because they come in handy when you're asking for letters of recommendations, and even when you're writing your own things. It's really tough to go back and remember everything specifically from 9th grade through your 12th grade year if you haven't kept track of it. So keep keeping track of it, write it down, think about things that impacted you that you can write about, because colleges don't just want to know about your academic side or maybe the numbers or what they can see readily on a transcript or that I regurgitate. They want to know what's different about the student, what separates you, tell us a story. They want to know you. So be thinking about things that along the way have impacted you, things that are important to you, where you see yourself, why do you see yourself in that particular place, what you've done, activities that you've participated in, leadership opportunities that you've taken advantage of. All of those things are going to be really important to keep quick where you have reference to them. And then, of course, keep your grades up. Your grades are going to be your number one factor in admission and in scholarship. So make sure that you don't lose track of that. So I'd mentioned the scholarships at the universities, and these are the various websites for the in-state universities, and I just put the normal ones on there: ASU, NAU, U of A, and GCU. Those are links for them. Each of them have a scholarship estimator, and I've included the link here for ASU. This is where you would need to plug in your 16 core GPA. So back to the very beginning of this presentation where I showed you our requirements for graduation and also the 16 core requirements for admission to in-state universities. Those are the classes that I'm talking about for 16 core. So you would take the grades from those classes and you award them the weight unweighted. So A's are worth 4, B's are worth 3, C's are worth 2, and D's are worth 1. You add those points up for those 16 core classes, and then you're going to divide it by the number of classes, and that's going to give you your unweighted 16 core GPA. If we have a ranking, which we don't rank anymore, so that won't be in there anymore, but you may have test scores that you can include. And then what will happen, you plug it into this estimator, and then they will give you a idea of what kind of money they would award you based on the information you put in. This is also where you can play around with those numbers a little bit that I talked about. Like maybe I got a 24 on the ACT, but if I retake it and get, say, a 27 or something, it might boost up the amount of money that the school is willing to award me. So this is ASU's. And then you have the U of A. This is their financial aid price calculator that you can plug in the same information and get some specific information back. NAU is their Lumberjack Scholarship is still in force. This is one where it's pretty straightforward. It's a tuition waiver to NAU, and it's a 3.5 GPA course. So again, in those 16 core classes, and no C's. So equal number of A's and B's in those core classes, or of course more A's if that's in there. That's great. But if you have a class where you got a C, for instance, it's one of those 16 core, they allow you to retake it, but it's limited to one retake. And that's as it is right now. I haven't heard that it's changing for next year, but it's good to know and good to make it a goal if you're considering an AU. And there is no test score involved in this award. Grand Canyon also has an estimator that you can use. They're very good about awarding our students, and it's straight GPA. So you can go on this one and also do the estimator for Grand Canyon University. Impact Chandler Scholars. This is through the Chandler Education Foundation. Students that they had to opt in during their freshman year, and if they didn't, that's okay, but it just means that they won't be able to apply for the Impact Chandler Scholars scholarships. And this is based on a 3.4 unweighted GPA through all 4 years. District will keep track of that. You don't have to send anything in. 95% attendance, and at least 100 hours of community service throughout high school. In a typical year, 35 hours are due at the end of the 10th grade year, but this year they waived that. So if students didn't do that, they said that as long as they had the 100 hours by April of their 12th grade year, that would be fine. It is an essay contest, and then again, you had to enroll for this during your freshman year. New for our students, last year was the first year we used this system of graduation honors, so there's no more valedictorian or salutatorian. We now follow the Latte system, which is similar to what a lot of the colleges use, and this began last year. So your students will be under this as well, and it's based on GPA completely, which is going to allow more students to actually receive some sort of a recognition rather than just a few doing valedictorian and salutatorian. So you can see the breakdown by GPA. The cum laude is at 3.75 to 4.24. Then it goes to the magna cum laude, which goes 4.25 to 4.49, and a summa cum laude with the highest praise, which is a 4.5 to 5.0. So even students that are not taking honors or AP classes can actually receive this recognition, because a 4.0 can be achieved, 3.75 to 4.0 can be achieved without having an honors or AP class. The ones that are above that are obviously taking honors or AP classes. Okay, so now we're to the summer. So all of that was just spring stuff, which is kind of exhausting even just talking about it. The summer before your senior year can be used for, of course, relaxation and getting back on track with your families and trying to recover from this year and getting ready for next year. But there are some things that you can be doing, and one of them is continuing to research your colleges. Really get a feel for what works for you. And a lot of the colleges, like I said, have great websites, but you can also use some, and I have them included at the end, some search engines that will allow you to compare several colleges at one time, where you can actually see the cost, you can see the location, you can see by programs of study, you can you can take 3 to 4 of them and then get an idea of how they compare for the same things. It's really a good way for you to break down a little more information for things that we don't get to see, like if you don't live in the state. So volunteering is another thing, or if you have the opportunity to do an internship with various industries around here. Working, a lot of you are going to be working and saving your money. Or if there's some other opportunity or a special learning program that might come your way. Those are also available on Ms. Fassinger's website. You'll see some of those things that come up that will talk about opportunities for internships or volunteering, or maybe a summer program that's offered at out-of-state schools that offer programs of study that you are particularly interested in. Some of them are going to be pretty pricey and some of them won't be at all. So please be looking for those different opportunities that you might participate in this summer. And then you're going to start narrowing down your choices a little bit. Some of you may have 10 schools that you're interested in. Some of you may have one. So just you're going to be thinking about which ones you're going to actually be applying for. If you have the option to do in-person visits, that's a luxury and a nice way to see, again, if you see yourself as a good fit for that particular campus. Think about weather too. That's always a surprise, I think, for some students when they all excited about going out of state and find out, oh, it snows here. I'm not so sure I want to do that. Update your resume, and your personal statement is something that you will be writing about for some schools on your application. And then be looking for scholarships. There are scholarships that you can be looking for now. Some of them are going to be for seniors. A lot of them are going to be for seniors, but there's some that are available to students of all ages now. And the only way that you're going to do that, find them, is by researching them. Use the websites that we've provided, Ms. Fassinger's websites, and just start looking. If you are having your senior portrait taken, there'll be information about that coming out over the summer, actually before we leave for summer. And then if you are planning on retaking the ACT or SAT, there is an early summer date that you can possibly do that. Otherwise, you're looking at the fall for the next time to retake a test if you feel you need to do that. And then bear down days, we don't know the date yet, but that will be the date where they get their schedules and pay any fees and those types of things, and that will be in July, probably pretty early July. So keep that as a save the date idea. So fall of senior year, this is where we are going to be focusing on not only our school stuff here, but this is kind of the crunch time for applying to colleges. So you're going to start preparing your applications, and we will meet with your son or daughter right away after the summer to review their credits and talk about what their plan is so that we can help guide them. But immediately we'll review the credits with them and get an idea of the colleges that you're thinking about. Need you to pay attention to deadlines, due dates and deadlines. And every college will have a set of deadlines, whether it's for the application, whether it's for financial aid deadline or FAFSA deadline. So just make sure you're paying attention to those deadlines. Keep track of everything that you're applying for. Make copies of it so that it's in a folder and you've got it and you know what you've done. If there are essays that are to be written, that would predominantly be for applying to things like honors colleges or out-of-state colleges. Make sure you have someone proofread these and you read it, reread it, read it out loud, have your parents read it, and make sure that you're putting good work into that so that you're happy with your final product. If you need a letter of recommendation, it would be a good time to let either your counselor know or your teachers know, or maybe it's an outside person outside of the education that's going to be writing it for you, but give them a heads up and plenty of time to be able to write a good letter for you. And a good rule of thumb is a couple of weeks. Provide them with information that maybe they don't have access to. That's where the resume might be handy. But allow them that, and then, of course, follow up with them. So take the ACT or SAT if you need to, or the subject test of the SAT if it's appropriate for that school, and then continue searching for scholarships at BHS, and then also through the websites that maybe you've signed up for, some of those national search engines. And then we move into financial aid stuff, which is happening sooner than it used to a few years back, because a lot of this is reliant on tax information. So you're going to start gathering this information for either the FAFSA or the private schools, and I'll go over that in just a minute. Your college application includes these four things, mostly three things, sometimes just two things, but it will definitely be the application. If there are test scores that are needed or appropriate for that, that would be a part of it. The transcript, which is going to be your permanent record of your grades here at BASHA for each semester, and an essay if it's required by that particular institution. So you're going to fill out the applications, and then it will lead you through the process of applying for orientations or housing and those types of things. If you're applying to multiple schools, and a lot of out-of-state schools and even in-state schools, there's the common application or some universal college applications where you do one application and it sends it to all of the schools that participate that you're interested in applying to. So it saves you some time from doing individual applications to each and every school. And for our part in it, the counselor part in it, and even teacher part in it, we upload student information, school profile, letters of recommendation, and it disperses it to all those schools that you applied to that are part of that application process. So not all schools do that, so there will be an individual application for others, but many of them do. So it's a nice way for you to be very, very quick about getting your applications out there. Make sure you're meeting the deadlines. Earlier is better. And make sure you're also looking for the different requirements for financial aid deadlines or application deadlines or early action deadlines. All of those things are going to be really important, and they're going to be different from school to school. So again, you'll want to keep track, write notes about it. Your transcripts are a part of your application, and we can send unofficial transcripts, but for official transcripts, you're going to go through Parchment, which is listed below, and I tell you how you can get there. And you just fill out your profile, and then you request the transcript be sent to whatever schools, or maybe it's a scholarship application. You get 5 for free, and after that, there's a small fee attached to sending transcripts. And those are for official. For unofficial copies, we have them. Parents and students actually have access on Infinite Campus, or they did until recently. So that should be back up and running too, where you'll be able to see your own transcript through Infinite Campus. Dual credit enrollment. You're going to be looking for information from teachers in the fall, keeping in mind that since this is through our community college, that those applications or school doesn't start until August. So if we start in July, you're not going to have this information right away, but it will become available and be shared with you in August sometime, and then you're going to follow the procedures for getting registered and paying for fall session or the year if it's a year-long class. So that should be coming from your teachers. It will also be posted on the website, and you can also see dual enrollment information at that website I provided earlier through Chandler Gilbert. Any questions, make sure you're reaching out to your teachers. You can call your counselors, and we'll get you what you need to help get enrolled for the dual credit. You just don't want to miss the deadlines on that one. And then there's college visits. So since we know that most colleges are not going to come to you, and this year has been a little bit different with even our college reps not coming in person, next year I'm hopeful that that's going to be different. They will be on campus, but there are opportunities for you to go visit colleges. Then I would encourage you to do that. And sometimes we have tours, if we get back to that too, where tours to go down to U of A or NAU or Grand Canyon. So if we return to that normalcy, you'll have the opportunity to do that too. And then there's the college fairs, which happen every year, every fall. And Chandler puts on a couple of them. One of them is the COSD College Fair, which usually happens in October. And that will include community colleges and other colleges, not just the three big universities, but the tri-university would be in August. And that's with ASU, U of A, and NAU, followed by the COSD College Fair, which usually happens in October. And then there's a huge college fair, which is generally at the end of October or beginning of November, called the Greater Phoenix National College Fair, and it's down at the Civic Center. And this is small schools, large schools, private schools, public universities, many schools that you can go and talk to the reps at those various for their campuses. And sometimes they waive the application fees too, just by you attending that college fair. So keep that on your radar for the fall. We'll have the dates early in the year. Financial aid. This is a big part of your college experience, and hopefully you're going to be eligible for some of this. There are two different things. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and this is now open beginning in October of your senior year. Used to be you had to wait until you had your taxes done for the previous year, and by that time parents and families were having a hard time predicting where they're going to go and what it's going to look like for them to make a good decision about costs. So they moved it and changed it to prior year. So now your taxes for the year you're going to be using are already completed. So in October, you'll be able to complete the FAFSA and also your FSA ID number. That's basically your electronic signature. Parents will have a signature FSA ID, and the student will also have their own, so that you're not signing each other's document. Applying early will increase your chances for grants and other sorts of financial aid. And also keep in mind too that a lot of colleges that have awarded merit scholarships will require that you submit a FAFSA, even if you think you're not going to qualify for federal aid. So it's an important document, and I encourage you to fill it out too. The nice thing about doing this is that when you fill out the FAFSA and you put down at that time the schools that you're considering, this is not by any means an absolute, like I know exactly where I'm going. You're going to put down the schools that you're considering to go to school, and then they're going to create a financial aid package for you based on that particular school, which is going to be, it's going to vary. It's going to vary whether it's ASU, U of A, Chandler Gilbert Community College, Ohio State. They all come up with their own package for you, which allows you as a family to review that information and see if it's feasible for you to attend the particular school you're looking at, or maybe it would be a better idea for you to attend another one. So this is something that you will do every year, even when you're in college, because financial situations change and it's updated each year. So keep this information, again, in a folder with your FSA ID numbers, with your login information, and each year you're going to redo it. So important to keep it handy. The CSS Profile is a financial aid like the FAFSA, which is federal funding. This is for private non-federal financial aid, called the CSS Profile, and that website's down below too. You can see the list of participating schools for that. So think of private schools more than anything that will use the CSS Profile as their financial aid application. So that's the difference between the FAFSA and non-federal student aid. So now we're at the end of your senior year, and even prior to here, you can go ahead and get started on your community college applications. Many of you that have already done dual enrollment will already have a lot of this done. You'll already have your maricopa.edu number, your MEID number. So basically, you'll just be getting ready to go to school. This year, we have a rep on campus. His name is Manny Hernandez. He's here Wednesdays, Thursdays, and every other Friday to help with this process, to answer questions about programs of study, anything. He's got a lot of information, and very happy to meet with you and the students to help get them started on this process. So the AccuPlacer was a placement test that used to be required. It's no longer required. This would determine what classes the students could take, say for math or for English. It's no longer required if your student has an unweighted GPA of a 2.6 or higher. If they don't, then that's when they're going to have them take a placement test. I also want you to take advantage of either Manny here on campus, Mr. Hernandez, or to schedule advisors appointments. Make sure you're asking about these programs that bridge the kids from community college to the university, if that's what their plan is. So ASU's is the MAP program, to NAU is NAU, and then UA Bridge is that, which these are neat opportunities to, and agreements with them to make a seamless transition from the community college to the universities. If they are also going to the community college and they have a 3.25 unweighted GPA at the time of graduating, they should apply for the Presidential Scholarship, which is going to be full tuition for 4 semesters. So here's the link for that. Gives you a little more information about the President's Honor Scholarship. And this would be for any of the community colleges, whether it's Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, Glendale, Rio Salado, in any of the Maricopa community colleges. So again, it's a requirement of a 3.25 unweighted GPA. Don't need an AccuPlacer score, but you also will apply for the honors program, which basically has you do 1 honors class each semester, but 4 semesters, consecutive semesters, up to 15 credit hours that would be taken care of. And here's this website for you to get more information. And then it's the waiting game. So at this point, you're waiting for admissions decisions. You make a decision about which college or pathway you're going to take. Plan for your budgeting, housing, make sure you've signed up for all the necessary orientations, and keep searching for scholarships. Your financial aid information will be coming your way too. So with all that information, hopefully you guys will have a very solid idea about what the next step is after graduating from high school. And then in May, we've got our AP exams that will be scheduled, completing all their senior courses. Your final transcript will need to be sent to the college that you've decided you will be attending, whether that's a university or a community college. NCAA and NAIA need one as well. Make sure that if you request it prior to graduation, you want to say hold for final grades, because you want the transcript that actually shows that you finished your high school here, your classes here at Basha. So when you hold it for final grades, that means that our registrar waits for the grades to be posted to the transcript, and then she approves those to be sent to wherever it is that you're asking them to go. And that's really kind of it. I feel this is not as interactive at all, so I know I've got lots of questions probably out there, and that would guide some of the presentation too, but I really appreciate you listening, and your counselors are available for any questions that you might have. I've included their names and phone numbers and links to their emails right there. We also have a social worker on campus, Miss Nicole Sagman, you'll see down there, and then Miss Blancarte, of course, is our wonderful assistant that helps keep track of all of us. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help answer your questions, help guide your student, help get them through, socially, emotionally, academically. Really looking forward to working with all of them and seeing them all back here soon. If you have any questions, reach out. It's been a pleasure being part of Basha and pleasure working with all of your students. So have a great night, and thanks for listening. I've included a few other websites here with the what they are, just in case you might need them, whether you're looking for ASU or NAU or financial aid or FAFSA. Some of the ones that do comparisons, like the College Simply here, that's one. There's your aztransfer.com to see how dual enrollment classes transfer to the university. So take a look. Hopefully it'll provide some help for you. Have a great night.